Well, I must say that it's pretty hard to respond to thin air, and what we've had from the Parliamentary Secretary there is a complete failure to defend the government's position at all. This is a political movement opposite us that have never seen a working condition that they didn't seek to undermine. They know that they can't bring back work choices through the front door through industrial relations reform. So in the area of transport is just one example where they're bringing back work choices through the back door. In the maritime sector, they have a policy of work choices on water, and they have an aviation proposal of work choices in the sky. It comes from the ideological position outlined in the Harper Review. The Harper Review that said, consistent with the approach the panel recommends for other regulatory reviews, the panel considers that restrictions on cabotage for shipping and aviation should be removed. That was the recommendation. What are these restrictions on this not very well-known word of cabotage mean? It means that nation-states understand that industries that are engaged in the global industry, shipping and aviation, defend their national interest by having a preference for industries within their own borders. That's what it means, as simple as that. It's a national interest test. But what are we seeing from them? In aviation, we have a proposal to allow foreign airlines to fly on domestic routes. There is not a single country in the world that allows that to happen. Not one. Unprecedented. That they would allow foreign airlines to come in to undercut Australian wages and conditions to operate in Northern Australia, and this proposal is the thin end of the wedge. When they attack workers, though, they also attack Australian industries. So this proposal is opposed by Qantas, by Virgin, by Jetstar, by Air North, by Tiger, all of them who employ Australians with Australian wages and conditions and, importantly, Australian safety standards. Now, we heard a lot this week about the cabinet split amid, to quote the Prime Minister, the come-to-Jesus moment. Well, cabinet solidarity again has gone to hell in a handbasket, because Andrew Robb is out there bagging in the paper today, backgrounding his opposition to any suggestion that this proposal shouldn't go forward. He speaks about vested interests. When he says vested interests, those vested interests are Australian interests, Australian jobs, Australian wages, Australian conditions and Australian industry. In maritime, they have an extraordinary proposition. Now, if you wanted to take goods from Sydney to Melbourne on the Hume Highway, you could not bring in a Filipino truck with Filipino safety standards, employ a Filipino worker, pay them Filipino wages and have them travel from Sydney to Melbourne down the Hume Highway. It wouldn't be allowed. But what they want is, if that journey takes place, carrying Australian domestic freight on the Blue Highway from Sydney to Melbourne, then you can have a foreign flag vessel paying foreign wages with foreign conditions and foreign safety standards. And we saw some example on the Four Corners program of exactly why that is inappropriate just this week. Australian ships aren't the ones that have hit the Great Barrier Reef. Australian ships aren't the ones that don't have the same controls over the security cards that the aviation and the maritime industry have. For a government that talks a lot about our borders, they want a free-for-all on our coast. A free-for-all where there is absolutely no protection for Australian maritime interests. None whatsoever, as well as in the skies. They are showing they're putting their ideology before the national interest.